Woke up in the morning and I'm super excited because today I'm going wreck diving again. But this time, it's not the USAT Liberty, but a different site called the Boga wreck, which is located in Kubu, a village not far from Tulamben. Not many people know about the Boga wreck, except that it's also a wreck site, not far from the USAT Liberty. The guides here will tell you that if you want to avoid the crowds, then you should go here. I'll explain more about the wreck's history a bit later from what I can find, but for now, I have to go and fill out my dive log. So another one of the electives I took for advanced open water is deep diving. And since the Boga wreck goes down up to 45 meters and has a flat surface at about 30, this is supposedly the perfect place to do it. As you can see from this chart, color quote-unquote dies at deeper depths. This is because water absorbs light differently depending on its wavelength. Colors like red, orange, and yellow wavelengths get absorbed first, while blue and green penetrate further. It's also a big no-brainer that the deeper you go, the bigger the water pressure, as demonstrated by this crushed empty water bottle. He also brought this cloth, which felt much thicker on the surface compared down to here at 30 meters. Now, here's the catch. Imagine what happens to your body being this deep. See, when you dive deeper, especially 30 meters and beyond, the pressure increases significantly, and this actually affects how the gases you breathe, mainly nitrogen, behave in your body. Under high pressure, nitrogen gets absorbed more into your blood and tissues, and this can lead to a condition called nitrogen narcosis. It's also often called the rapture of the deep, and divers have reported that it feels a bit like being drunk or lightheaded. It's not dangerous by itself, but it can lead to poor decisions underwater, which is why it's important to be aware of your depth and dive within your training limits. The Boga wreck has a much more sort of intentional history compared to the famous USAT Liberty wreck nearby. Unlike the Liberty, which was a casualty of war, the Boga wreck was intentionally sunk in September 2012. The goal was to create a new artificial reef and an exciting dive attraction for the growing dive tourism in the area, following the success of the Liberty wreck. So, before the intentional sinking, the ship was reportedly a Dutch-built cargo ship, or a patrol vessel, used by the Indonesian government, which was retired and given to the area for touristic purposes. Unfortunately, unlike the Liberty, which has numerous pictures and a wealth of information online, I couldn't really find anything of that sort related to the Boga wreck. But here's what we know. The ship is approximately 40 to 45 meters long, and was sunk upright on a sandy slope. While initially intended to rest at a maximum depth of around 32 meters, it has gradually settled deeper over time, now ranging from about 18 meters at its showless point to 40 to 45 meters at the propeller. And as you can see, it's still very much intact, unlike the Liberty, which in an earlier video I mentioned looked very much shipwrecked. As a relatively young artificial reef, it's still in the process of being fully colonized by corals, but it's already teeming with marine life. I think that anyone stopping by Tulamben should absolutely visit this site. I've talked to a bunch of divers who've been to Tulamben, and they didn't even know this wreck existed. Be sure to stop by because in some ways, I think it's actually better than the Liberty. This is of course completely unrelated to the topic, but I am a huge movie fan, and for those of you who haven't seen the Titanic, you should absolutely make the time to do so because it really is one of the greatest movies ever made, and I think it's one of the things that's influenced me to want to go shipwreck diving in the first place. Well, this animal needs no explaining, as you all probably know that it's a stingray. Specifically, this one is called the blue spotted stingray, which is a pretty common sight here across the Indonesian coral reefs. It's pretty unfortunate that this animal has a bad reputation since the tragedy that happened to Steve Irwin. For those of you that don't know, Steve Irwin is a famous Australian wildlife expert and TV personality, best known as the crocodile hunter. Sadly, he passed away in 2006 after being accidentally struck by a stingray while filming underwater. So here I am keeping my distance with the infinite selfie stick feature of my Osmo Action 4. So that basically concludes my first trip to the Boga wreck. I'll be returning here again for my wreck diving specialty course, but for now, it's time to say goodbye and head on over to the surface for another interval. See you!